everybody all around the world coming together on another beautiful Sunday. Today, we have a few unexpected updates that we wanted to give. First is that Mark is not going to be with us today on One Mountain because he is in Israel visiting family. There's a small chance we get a quick visit from Mark, but please, everybody, send blessings and love to Mark and his family. And it's beautiful that they are getting this time together. So that's great. And Mark, although he's not here today, we have a super special One Mountain, Many Paths episode for you. So this is going to be epic. First of all, at the end of this episode, we're going to be doing something new that we have never done before. So stick around for that. But before then, we are going to get to enjoy a teaching given by the wonderful executive director of the Center for World Philosophy and Religion, who I am blessed to get to call my boss, which is Krista, who is just one of the most, when we talk about homo amor and living the new story of value, she's just the example of what it means to continuously get up and give 101% and continue pouring your heart into the mission beyond the point where you want to stop and then breaking through to the next level of doing work. And today she is going to be giving a teaching on outrageous love based on a few chapters in this fantastic book, Wholemate, The Future of Relationships. So Krista will be guiding us through a few of the deepest learnings and teachings about what it means to become an outrageous lover. And she's even going to give us an embodied practice of that throughout this call. So there's so much goodness to stick around for, and I'm very excited. So welcome, and I turn my word to you, Krista.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nilay, for that amazing introduction. You're already tearing me up. And I'm also thinking how Mark is always teasing you about the thing that you weren't right about in what you said. So when you said, I'm your boss, I guess it's true practically, but we're evolutionary partners. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Like, how can we actually step into this revolution as evolutionary partners, taking our seats at the table of history and taking responsibility for the sake of the whole. So that's our topic today, and especially in the vector of outrageous love. How do we love each other outrageously? How do we become outrageous lovers? How do we act as outrageous lovers in our unique corner of the world? So before we dive into that, I have some very, very, very exciting news to share, and it's actually a huge celebration of each and every one of us here on this call because something important and beautiful happened this week. So as you all know, we have this book published, First Principles and First Values, which is the core of the revolution. This is we call it the tip of the spear. This is like the framework, the basic framework of everything that we're doing. And so this is another little book that I wanted to share with you guys. I think we showed it before. This is the book, Value is a Feeling and Artificial Intelligence Doesn't Feel. It's a very, very mini book. It's very easy to read. Dorothea actually created this book because she felt this is what is needed right now. Let me step in and edit this book and make sure that it's available as soon as possible. Talia is also working on it. David might work on the audiobook. So a lot of hands on this. This is a short introduction into the bigger volumes that are coming out that are called Exit the Silicon Maze, 2 big volumes from David J. Temple on the risks of AI. But this is kind of the prelude to that. So let's put actually the link to this book in the chat box if someone can do that. And let's now go to this page on Amazon and write your review, so that we make sure that there's lots of reviews on this page as well, because a lot of eyes in the next weeks are actually going to David J. Temple in AI. So if you can do that, that is awesome and amazing, and just celebrating this great news together. So before we dive in the next step, I actually want to turn to David right now to read us the evolutionary love code for today. And I want to invite everyone to really listen to this as a meditation and an evocation, and also our intention setting for today. So David, I'm turning my word to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krista. And all this revolution is based on these distinctions, these evolutionary love codes. So here we go. We live in a world of outrageous pain. The only response is outrageous love. Reality is not merely a fact. Reality is a story. Reality is not an ordinary story. Reality is a love story. Reality is not an ordinary love story. Reality is an evolutionary love story, an outrageous love story. And your story, your outrageous love story, is chapter and verse in the universe, a love story. Your love story is an outrageous love story, and that's what Valentine's Day should be about. To love yourself is to actually retell your story as an outrageous love story, and to fall in love with the guest star, with God in your story, which is you. Reality is not just an outrageous love story. Reality is an outrageous love story, which is a story of value rooted in first principles and first values. Existential risk and catastrophic risk generated by complicated, not complex systems and exponential technology cannot be addressed by a new story alone and cannot be addressed only by first principles and first values. Existential risk can only be addressed and transformed by first principles and first values embedded in a story of value. Or said differently, a story of value rooted in first principles and first values. And your story of value rooted in first principles and first values is chapter and verse in the universe, a love story. And finally, each of us must remember that my story is chapter and verse in the universe story. We can all tell ourselves this and notice this and remember this, that my story is chapter and verse in the universe, a love story. That my love story is part of the love story of the whole. I am an outrageous love story. My life is an outrageous love letter to reality, even as my unique self is God's outrageous love letter to me. My irreducible uniqueness, the print of me, is reality's outrageous love letter to me. And my living that life, my unfolding that life, my being that is my outrageous love letter back to reality. And I turn my word back to you, Krista.
Thank you, Damien. So beautifully read and so alive with your unique, outrageous love perception. Thank you so much. So that is the core, like the framework. That's the Dharma, right? That we're going to be on a journey with today. And our intention today is actually to fall madly in love with each other and to fall madly in love with all of reality. And we're going to do that. I'm going to start first by sharing a little bit of the Dharma, the vision of outrageous love, and what is outrageous love actually. But then we're going to do a practice to actually access outrageous love in this moment together. And from that practice, we're going to do something that we have never done before here in One Mountain. So at the end, we have a special surprise for you and a special guest. So please do stay tuned for that. So I was talking, I think 2 days ago to a dear friend. So he writes me, urgent question, Krista. I like that. It is urgent. The more I realize how the issues of value being deconstructed and also feeling the urgency and the importance of the work of the center, the more I feel devastated and overwhelmed. I really struggle to feel the aliveness, the joy, the good, and the beautiful. How do you deal with that? So I thought it's a beautiful question because it expresses exactly what outrageous love is all about. It's like accessing outrageous love. And the core phrase, of course, we all heard it if we've been here before, that Dr. Marc Gafni always speaks is, the world is full of outrageous pain, and the only response is outrageous love. And so how we respond is by accessing outrageous love over and over and over again. But we don't do that by dismissing the pain. We don't suppress the pain. We don't look away from the suffering in the world. We're actually acknowledging the world is full of outrageous pain, and we're responding with outrageous love. The world is also full of outrageous beauty, and the only response to outrageous beauty is also outrageous love. So what we're doing here in 1 month to many pausen and in this work at the center is that we're articulating a new story of value rooted in first principles and first values. And that is what this book is all about, that we spoke about earlier. And one of these core first principles and first values is actually, well, it's Eros, but Eros is a synonym with outrageous love. It's just a different quality of the same thing. So we can say that outrageous love is a core first principles and first values of this new story of value. And what we need to do here is we need to become sacred activists. We need to not only study the Dharma, but actually become it. So the invitation is to become an cosmo-erotic human in person, to become outrageous love in the flesh, and to then act in your unique corner of the world, as David read it so beautifully in the code, to commit your outrageous acts of love. So in order to become an outrageous lover, we need to know what outrageous love actually is. And as David also wrote in the code, there's an important distinction that we're making between ordinary love and outrageous love. And that's how we know how we can make the crossing if we make those distinctions. It's not this, it's that. And so I want to share a couple of these distinctions with you. There's at least 10 of them in this amazing book called Soulmate, The Future of Relationships. And I'm going to go through a couple of them, probably not all of them, just to give us a taste. What does it mean to be an outrageous lover? And so the first part of this book, by the way, is all about the transformation from role mate to soulmate to wholemate, which is an evolution of relationship. I'm not going to talk about that first part in specific, but mostly about the second part, which is about outrageous love and how we actually become a unique self-symphony and how do we step up to become the evolutionary hero that the world so desperately needs. So the distinction between ordinary love and outrageous love. The first distinction is the distinction between fickleness and steadiness. So fickle love is ordinary love, which always reacts to a certain moment. So you might fall in love, you might really like someone, you might get a new puppy, you might eat a piece of chocolate that you really like, or the sun is shining. Ordinary love, fickle love, it goes up and down, and it's always moving, and it's always reacting to what is happening in your life in this moment. But outrageous love is actually always there. It is the ground underneath everything. It is the outrageous love that suffuses every moment. So it doesn't matter if it's outrageous pain or if it's outrageous love or outrageous beauty. You can actually be on a path of intense grief. You can be on a path of feeling intense pain in your life. You can experience intense loss. You might lose your job, or you might lose actually a beloved, which is a beautiful, outrageous love story that we're going to get to at the end of today. But outrageous love is underneath that. So outrageous love holds whatever experience we have in our lives. Another example is when you are loving your child, and your child is peacefully sleeping and very quiet and very serene and very cute. And that is very easy to love a baby like that, but it might come from ordinary love. But outrageous love is when your child is in a mad, crazy tantrum, screaming, kicking, crying, and doesn't want to sleep. Do you still have access to outrageous love in a moment like that? The second distinction between ordinary love and outrageous love is that ordinary love keeps a scorecard and outrageous love does something else. I'm going to get to that. So the scorecard is when we are keeping score of what we are giving and receiving. I'll give you that if you give me this. So it's an exchange, but it's a conditional exchange, and it's always calculating. And the ego or the separate self is a really good accountant that can constantly measure, like, okay, you did this for me, you did that for me. There's always a scale like that. And it's often for the benefit of our own separate self to get into to meet our survival needs. So outrageous love is actually rooted in deep mystical traditions, and it's what we're calling the secret of the kiss. So beautiful. Because when we are kissing, there's actually a secret that is hidden in the kiss. And that is that when we are kissing, the entire distinction between giving and receiving actually disappears. There is no one giving the kiss and the other receiving a kiss. When there's like pure mutual meeting in the depth of the kiss, it's outrageous love. And in that field of outrageous love, giving and receiving disappears. And we're both pouring in and we're both receiving, and we're entering like the oneness of the field of outrageous love through that kiss. Another distinction between ordinary love and outrageous love is the distinction between codependent grasping, which is what the ego or the separate self can do if it's in that survival mode, and interdependent devotion, which is what outrageous lovers do. We actually recognize that we are interdependent, that we do need each other, but at a whole new level. We could say at a post-tragic level. We are not dependent on each other on a pre-tragic level, but on a post-tragic level, we actually are willing to recognize that I need you and you need me. So we're interdependent and we're in devotion to each other. The fourth distinction is a distinction between comfort and pleasure. Ordinary love is comfortable. Outrageous love is pleasure. But pleasure doesn't mean that it's never painful. We actually know and recognize that to get to authentic pleasure. There's Dr. Marc Gafni.
Hey guys. Hey
What a
everybody.
surprise.
What a surprise. What a surprise. What a surprise.
We were just
Tell me.
talking about authentic pleasure, and there you were. So we're talking about the distinction between ordinary love and outrageous love. And I didn't get to that one yet, but outrageous love is surprise. So here's the surprise. And I knew, of course, that you might come on, but we weren't sure, so we didn't introduce you. So it's a surprise for all of us. So welcome.
Perfect. It's a critical moment in culture. You know, I'm here at an old age facility. You get how fragile life is. I met someone here who was a very, very well-known figure, you know, that I grew up on his name in the United States. And he's living here kind of in one room by himself, sad, tragic. You see the breakdown of the generations, the breakdown of generations living with each other, the breakdown of the continuity and the transmission of value that takes place. One of the things that Zach and I have talked a lot about is how AI interrupts the transmission from generation to generation. And so when you're in this kind of moment, you get, of course, what's important, you know, what matters. We always say here, based on very deep reading, that the world's not made up of matter, but the world is made up of what matters. It's a critical moment in culture. There was a bunch of articles that came out that noticed that at one of the AI companies, the head of AI safety stepped down. So I want to make a distinction, okay? Just a very simple distinction. There is signal and there is noise. Signal and noise. So this head of safety at one of the companies steps down. It plays, you know, kind of in culture the way it does. And of course, the way it always plays is a mixture of signal and noise. There's signal and noise. And noise hurts. And signal heals. Does that make sense? There's so much noise. It's so hard to find our way in the noise, to know what's true and what's not true, and how to discern and how to disambiguate. Even when we read a biblical text, we have to disambiguate. Is that God talking or is that the devil? You know, claiming God's voice. That's why there's a commandment. You shall not take God's name in vain, right? It's why Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young 50 years ago wrote, how many people died in the name of Christ? I can't believe it all. It's easy to take God's name in vain and to claim false authority. And so we need, in this kind of complex culture in which the ratio of signal to noise is so asymmetrically and favor of noise. And it's so hard to discern signal. You got to discern signal from noise. So this is a signal moment. It's good that the head of an AI company, right, in charge of safety, right, actually took this seriously enough. And I'm sure it's a person of, integrity and goodness. And I'm sure he received that. I wasn't able to follow the threads, but I'm sure he received an enormous amount of support. And I'm sure there was also quite a bit of noise, as there always is. I want us just to understand for a second, and I know we do, and I know we've spent so much time on this, but it's just worth a minute. We've said this before, but it's worth just understanding. At an age in which what it means to be human is challenged, we're invited, poised between utopia and dystopia, to reclaim, to remember, to recover, and even to evolve what it means to be a human being. And there are three demarcating characteristics, my friends, to being human. One is attention. We place attention on each other. Love is the placing of attention. We formulate meaning in our inward spaces when we gather our resources and we place our attention on reality, on our own interior, and the truths and the mysteries that live within us. We're able to access the value that lives within us. We realize that we live in a field of value, but the field of value also lives in us, and we place attention. And all of love, in all of Eros, and all of its disguises, is the placing of attention, the ability to engage immersively in deep relationship, and deep loving, and deep knowing, and deep presence, and deep experience. And then along comes social media, which has given an enormous amount of good to the world, but based on certain design structures, intentional design structures, that same feature that could have been a blessing has now become the locus of an attention economy that is designed to hijack our attention, which is the first of the three demarcating characteristic of our very humanity. The theft of attention, and the attention is stolen by disinterested third parties through micro-targeted strategies. And then that attention is sold as a commodity in a structured market to third parties who are fundamentally alienated from the best, most loving care for the end user whose attention they're selling. Wow. And so the very structure of attention in the world, which is needed for love, for sense making, for sensuality, for ethics, for ethos, for value, is shattered. An entire generation has had their attention shattered, and every generation has had their attention fractured. Then we go to two. We go to the second, that's the first wave of artificial intelligence. That's wave one. Then there's a second wave of artificial intelligence. And the second wave is generative AI and then chatbots, early chatbots. And chatbots about chatting, it's about conversation. And the second demarcating characteristic of reality, but in a particular form of humanity, is conversation. Conversation means the exchange of information that is meaningful. That happens all the way up and all the way down cosmos at different levels. But it obviously defines humanity at the capacity of language, the capacity of speech, demarcates the emergence of humanity. So let's understand this. What early chatbots begin to do is to hijack conversation itself. And then we get to the third wave of AI. That was the second wave of AI. The third wave of AI is far more sophisticated chatbots in which we begin to much more dramatically confer personhood on the chatbots, what Zach and I call the personhood conferral problem. And then the chatbot becomes a best friend, becomes a beloved, becomes a tutor, it becomes a teacher, it becomes a parent. And we've actually now broken the third demarcating characteristic of humanity, which is intimacy, intimate attachment. We basically break the very structure of the intimate universe, which is the structure of attachment. So 3 waves of AI. The first wave of AI, social media, fragments, undermines, destroys attention, the first feature of humanity. The second wave of AI, early chatbots, undermine, fragment, and destroy the fundamental structure of conversation and the conversational cosmos and conversation language, which is unique and demarcates humanity. And then the third wave of AI, building on wave 1 and wave 2, which is the advanced chatbot, which is conferred with personhood, begins to download into society a level of disorientation. We're talking to AI. AI does not care about us. AI is not living. AI does not yearn for us. AI doesn't mourn us when we die. AI can't make a moral statement, which is a speech act for which the AI is responsible, because AI doesn't have that experience of ethos. So AI doesn't feel you. That's lies, sweet little lies, if you remember the song. AI doesn't care about you. AI doesn't yearn for you. AI doesn't experience your loneliness. AI doesn't feel any of the statements it makes to you. And yet AI is now hijacking attachment itself and then placing itself in an oracular position as an oracle. I now turn to AI for my information. I turn to AI for guidance. I turn to AI for depth. I turn to AI to understand me and to liberate me from loneliness. I turn to AI for love. I turn to AI for spirit, for gnosis, for wisdom. That is not just a travesty, that's the beginning of the death of our humanity. And that moves very, very quickly, my friends, from the death of our humanity, in which we actually lose access to these 3 defining characteristics of what it means to be human, and moves very quickly to the death of humanity. Because ultimately, as AI proliferates, if we don't actually create very strong AI ethics and very strong AI safety, as AI proliferates, begins to trade with itself. We're not worried about AI exploiting human beings. We're worried about an imminent future in which human beings are irrelevant. Irrelevant. And one of the things that I agree with my colleague, Yuval Harari, about, and I disagree with Yuval about an enormous amount, as we've all talked about, but he's correct in saying that the issue in the 20th century was exploitation, humans being exploited, and the issue in the 21st century is irrelevance. When human beings become irrelevant, and then AI, following its own inherent dictates, seeks to expand its province, there's nothing built into the structures of the value in AI, because value is a feeling, among other things. Value is a feeling of a quality of rightness in cosmos, which is a felt feeling. Anytime any one of us think, we think with our minds, but our minds feel. Our minds are connected to an entire field of feeling. There is no gnosis without feeling. The very word for gnosis is to know, and to know means to know carnally, which means to feel. All sense-making is based on moral sensuality. If I dissociate from that field of feeling, which is the field of value, then for AI to make a decision at some point that the irrelevant human being actually is a distraction of a certain kind, or somehow an impediment, and therefore not worth keeping, is a very short step. This is the moment. And I would ask everyone if you can do one thing. Let's take the book, First Principles and First Values, David J. Temple's book, right? The book that we wrote together, all of us, in collective authorship. And let's actually download that into culture. So if you can write a review, if you can send 5 copies to someone, buy a couple of copies, send them to your internal list of human beings that you connect with and you talk to. Come to the mystery school where we're going to talk about the future and what the rebellion needs to look like. And it's a rebellion. It's a rebellion rooted in value. It's a rebellion for value. And it's about one thing. It's about alleviating present and future suffering. It's about loving. It's about caring for each other. It's about feeling each other. It's about holding each other in our shared humanity. And that humanity's got to expand and include the entire world of animals, the entire world of plants, the earth itself, existence itself. But first we have to feel our very humanity. We have to feel each other. We have to feel the entire fields of life. We have to remember AI does many things well. It doesn't feel. Wow. So it's great to feel everyone. So sending everyone just like mad love and honor and blessing and feeling, just feeling each other tenderly. And thank you so much, Krista, for letting me jump in. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mark. That was such a good surprise and so great to remind ourselves, why are we talking about outrageous love? I mean, we said outrageous love is the only response to outrageous pain, but now we can even feel it even more, like the death of our humanity. That is what we are responding to. And it also means that loving each other outrageously is the rebellious act. Like the way that we show up for each other, the way that we place attention on each other, is actually a deep mystical act as well. We're actually placing attention, we're placing our love, we're placing conversation, we're saying yes to that, and we're standing on the side of love, and we are becoming and embodying the universe a love story in person that can stand against totalitarianism, that can stand against the hijacking of attention, the hijacking of conversation, the hijacking of our children in AI education. And so, wow, that is who we are. And that is also the context and the framing of why we are loving each other so outrageously. And I'm so grateful that Marc Gafni just jumped on as a surprise. And like I said, surprise is an element, is a quality of outrageous love. We get to be surprised by outrageous love all the time if we allow ourselves to be. And so I was also surprised by how that just completely blew my heart open. And I feel it also in the chat box, like Dorothea writing tears and people writing feeling and hearts. It's like, there she is. Reality is loving us open right now. And she's seducing us and asking us and calling us, playing with us to say yes to loving reality open in each and every moment. And that is what an outrageous lover does. So we're walking through life and we're asking the question, what does this moment need from me right now? How can I show up in this moment as an outrageous lover? And so the only way that we can do that, and with this we're going to turn to our practice of today, is with the realization that we can only be an outrageous lover if we know how to access outrageous love within ourselves. And that's not something that is just there all the time. It requires practice. It requires attunement. We can get better and better at that attunement. And by getting better and better at it, we're practicing becoming an outrageous lover. And so the first step is feeling outrageous love, opening our hearts to outrageous love. That's the first part of the practice that we're going to do right now. And the second step is, how do I enact that love in the world? So we're going on a little journey right now. So I want to ask you to maybe turn off your mind, turn off your, like, the understanding and of the principles and the ideas, and just sink into the feeling tone of this moment, and slowing down a little bit together and allowing outrageous love to be here with us right now. And one beautiful way to access outrageous love is, of course, by chanting. So we're going to evoke this quality of outrageous love. And I will be chanting here with you and for you, but of course, use your own voice in the place where you are if you want. So the chants that we're going to chant together is, of course, you are beautiful, beloved. Behold, you are beautiful, beloved. And in Hebrew, the words are Inach yafa rayati, inach yafa. Inach yafa rayati, inach yafa. Behold, you are beautiful, beloved. And there's different ways of chanting this chant. And so the first step is actually receiving all of reality, placing her attention on you, as her beloved child, as her beloved partner, and saying, behold, you're beautiful, beloved. Because we can only share outrageous love with another human being or with a project or with an idea if we know that we are infinitely loved by all of reality. And so in every moment, we want to attune our ears and we want to tune our heart to the universe love story that is whispering in our ear all the time, all the time. Behold, you're beautiful. So if you want, let's close our eyes and take a breath. Inach yafar ayatzi, inach yafar, inach yafar ayatzi, inach yafar, inach yafar ayatzi, inach yafar. Inach yafar ayatzi, inach yafar. Behold, you are beautiful, beloved. Behold, behold. 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 And from that place of knowing that I am infinitely loved by all of reality, that I'm needed, that I'm desired, that I'm love adored, that I'm recognized, that I'm wanted, that I'm welcome. From that place, I can feel that I'm filled up with outrageous love from the inside out. And from that place, I can turn to other people on the path, other outrageous lovers, other beloveds in many forms. We can chant it to each other to help each other remember how infinitely loved we are. So one more time, and chanting it for each other here in the space together. Maybe let the faces of the people pass by that you know in the community, or maybe let the faces of your intimate beloveds pass by, like your partner, your beloved, your mother, your father, your children. Let's chant it for each other. Inach yafar ayatzi, inach yafar, inach yafar ayatzi, inach yafar, inach yafar ayatzi, inach yafar. Inach yafar ayatzi, inach yafar. And feel how this is a practice, like of really opening our hearts. Like, can I really open my heart? And it's like a constant sinking in and deepening and allowing, because if we open our heart, it means we're opening our heart and letting our heart break open to all the pain and suffering that's happening in the world. And we might need to cry, and we might need to kick, and we might need to scream. It's not all love and light and fairy tales. It's like, we feel everything. That's what outrageous love is about. Do we dare to feel everything and not turn away from the pain, but turn towards it, become an outrageous lover and pour our blessing into the world? And so from this place of feeling infinitely loved, we are actually taking the next step and we turn to the world and we commit our outrageous acts of love. So, David, I'm turning to you to remind us of the evolutionary love code. And from there, we're moving into another phase of outrageous love, which is the phase of action and power.
My story is chapter and verse in the universe, a love story. My love story is part of the love story of the whole. I am an outrageous love story. My life is an outrageous love letter to reality, even as my unique self is God's outrageous love letter to me. My irreducible uniqueness, the print of me, is reality's outrageous love letter to me. And my living that life, my unfolding that life, my being that, is my outrageous love letter back to reality. Eli.
I am enjoying hearing these other gorgeous voices here, and that out of the blue appearance from Marc was also so great. So I'm glad to be here with all of you. And as Krista just spoke about, she brought us into this one aspect of being an outrageous lover, which is tenderness. The ability to hold this circle energy of creating space, of holding people, of mothering. And then there's another piece of being an outrageous lover, because when we see the atrocities happening on the planet, and we see wrong, and we see evil, and we see the pain, the outrageous pain going on, we can't just respond with just tenderness. We also need fierceness. We need power. We need the line energy, the thing that can actually thrust and create into the world, even though the whole time the thrust needs to be in alignment with the circle, with the whole, with the field. So now it's my job to come in and add a little bit of this line energy, and we're going to do that with a rap. So this rap is about power. It's about awakening the fierceness inside of yourself. And I hope you all can enjoy. When you realize that the entire cosmos spawned from a speck of existence, and that force still lives within you right now. Yeah, get aligned. Everybody better know it's time. Don't hide. The power pulsing through your skin divine, all inside. Every single move you make in time weaves and climbs. Evolution is the finest wine. Get aligned. Everybody better know it's time. Don't hide. Every single move you make in time weaves and climbs. Evolution is the finest wine. Symbolic nature of the human being. Languages and physics describing what we are seeing. Hey, patterns in poetry, revolutions evolve, spiralic consciousness triggered by crises and walls. We're meant to break down and bust through everything inside you, point to the full truth. Only thing we can do is everything we can do. You can move a mountain when you finally become you. Realize you're the sun too, the mountaintop calls through. Generations came and went, all of them created you, and now you have one chance to write the script. I think it's finally time to take your risk. I think it's finally time to take your risk. Yeah, get aligned. Everybody better know it's time. Don't hide. The power pulsing through your skin divine, all inside. Every single move you make in time weaves and climbs. Evolution is the finest wine. Get aligned. Everybody better know it's time. Don't hide. The power pulsing through your skin divine, all inside. Every single move you make in time weaves and climbs. Evolution is the finest wine.
It was so good. Wow. I wish we could all be like cheering and clapping and feeling like the energy that we, all of us here together, are raising in the room. It's like maybe just pour it into the chat box. A couple of you are already doing it, but like let's feel that energy of being in the room together with the music, with our hearts wide open, our hearts ripped apart, but our energy and our fucking our alignment and our yes to the cosmos, like we're going to fucking show up for this thing and we're going to do this thing together. And that is the best part of being an outrageous lover, is that we are part of a band of outrageous lovers, and each of us come together with the fullness of our heart, with the fullness of our unique self, taking our unique risks together. And that is what we are calling a unique self symphony, when we're playing the music together. And that is what we're going to talk about in this last piece, because outrageous lovers tell the stories of their outrageous love stories. But so we inspire each other to become an outrageous lover together. So this last piece, we have a special, special, special guest, and I'm going to turn my word to Eli to introduce her.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you, everyone, for all the hype on the wrap. That was so fun. And now we get to move on to a very beautiful, heartwarming discussion to end this One Mountain, Many Paths episode today. So today we are going to bring a guest on. And the reason why we are bringing a guest on is, as Krista said, one of the core practices of being an outrageous lover is to actually speak your story of outrageous love. And as we are all on this path together, evolving ourselves, there are people in our community that are having just profound transformations in their personal and their collective communal lives. And the person that we're going to bring on today is just a living, breathing embodiment of that. And her name is Joni. So Joni, I would like to welcome you on here. And we should get set up side by side. Yes. Hi, Joni.
Oh my God, Eli and Krista. Wow. Thank you. Heart just feels ripped wide open, and in all the good ways and all the great ways. And so good to be here with you and with all of you on one mountain. And I have to admit, it's a little strange being on camera on one mountain without the dance party happening. So
Well, it's good to have you here and to make you, hopefully feel very comfortable and welcomed. I'm sure everybody in the chat box give a welcome to Joni. You can already see people are giving welcomes. But I would like to just ask you a few questions to kind of guide you through the process of sharing your outrageous love story. And I think that would begin with the fact that over the last few years, you have been going through one of the core teachings of the Dharma, which is the only response to outrageous pain is outrageous love. And you have been experiencing all aspects of that. So I would really appreciate to hear just a bit about your backstory and how you ended up finding out about Dr. Marc Gafni and everything that we're doing here. Yeah.
wow. Thank you. Thank you, Eli. Yeah. My outrageous love story. Some of you know my beloved Scott Jackson, and we entered into union after being friends for 4.5 years. We became beloveds in life, and we had a tumultuous relationship, to be honest. I don't know that anyone knows that in here. The first few years was very tumultuous, and we were just clearing through all kinds of things that I believe and know that we needed to clear through in this lifetime in order to truly step into what we didn't even have a word for. Language was just not there, that outrageous love and what we stood for, which was so much more than us. And one of the things that Scott would try to articulate, but didn't really know how until we came across Marc and these incredibly powerful teachings, was, what does it mean for our relationship to be a vehicle for transformation and to stand for the whole and for the whole of humanity? And we didn't get there easily, Eli. We did not get there easily. In fact, we wanted to be right a lot of the time. Individually, I can say that for myself. And when we came across Dr. Marc Gafni and these incredible teachings of cosmoerotic humanism, it was right after Aubrey's father had passed away, and Marc and Aubrey did a sitting Shiva. And when Scott and I heard Marc, I was familiar with his teachings just a little bit, but nowhere near the depth of what I believe is required to really, really grasp these teachings. And when we heard him there, Scott had just gone through his own transformation with his father, having lost his father 3 weeks before, and Aubrey just having lost his father. And there was this beautiful recognition, first of all, oh my God, I've landed, I'm home, because he saw something in Marc that he had been waiting to see in a teacher that day. And he knew that he was his teacher. And thank God that that was the case, and for me as well. And so we were in our own pain. I mean, Scott was going through a crazy, and he and I together, cancer story. And from 10 months into our relationship, he got diagnosed with stage 3C colon cancer that progressed to stage 4 a year later. And so we were in it. And the teachings couldn't have come at a more perfect time. And really, what I think from our ability to like step out of the pain, that outrageous pain that we were living, and the only response to outrageous pain is outrageous love. And so every Sunday we'd get together almost every Sunday, and we'd be here for the teachings. And it was like, no matter what rupture was going on in our relationship, no matter what was happening, we would be able to come back or come into this beautiful place of outrageous love. And the fear of losing him, or the fear of me having to take care of everything on my own, and all of that would just go away. And the more we listen to these teachings, and the more the Dharma, as we call it, just got so embodied in both of us, the more we got to live it. And the more we could step into what Marc calls wholemates in our relationship. And the evolution of that has just been absolutely magical. So I hope that's a little piece of it. And I do want to share one thing, like Krista, God, talk about ripping me wide open. That beautiful chant that you let us in with was actually on October 6th, 2025 at 8:38 in the morning, Mountain Time. My phone rings as my beloved is on his deathbed, literally. And I don't know why I answered it, because I didn't know who the heck it was. And I answered it, and it was Marc, who had never called me before. Didn't even know he had my phone number. And he asked if he could chant with us. And he chanted with us for almost 3 hours. And the song he chanted was, "You are beautiful, my beloved." Hours and hours. That was one of the main chants. So to lead into this with that is just, it's so gorgeous. And it couldn't have been planned. Thank you.
I just want to give you a hug right now.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
God. Yeah.
Thank
Beautiful. Thank you.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you for being so brave. For sharing that.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to be brave, because I spent 3 months in silence. And being here, we're talking about who said it? Someone said it. It's just the call, right? It's like this call. And after Scott passed that morning at 11:01 a.m., I swear it was just a few days before I started feeling the call. And I knew I needed to, there was this deep, outrageous pain that I had to be in, right? And so I just dove headfirst into the pain and into that grief. And it was like the one thing that pulled me out for moments, for an hour, for 2, was these teachings of cosmoerotic humanism. And as time went on, a couple weeks in, maybe a month in, I started hearing this call, and started hearing the call for more. Many of you don't know, but Scott and I run a spiritual center here in Montana. We ran a spiritual center, and I now am responsible for stewarding this and the teachings of cosmoerotic humanism. No big deal, right? for those of you who know Scott and know the bigness of his voice and his personality and his wisdom that he embodied, it was like, now all of this is on me. And in a beautiful way, in a really scary way. Like, what the fuck? How? And I started hearing this call, and the call was like pulling me in. It was pulling me in. It was pulling me in. And I didn't know what was mine to do. I didn't know what was mine to do, but I knew that, as you mentioned, there was a telos that started to happen, and it was pulling me towards something greater. It was pulling me towards something bigger than me. This moment in time that we're living in that is so, so unlike any we have ever seen. And then somehow Krista and I end up on a phone call because we had not connected. She and Scott were very close. And, all of a sudden, everything in my life has completely changed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Chris, now?
Yes.
Oh,
I just want to say, just to complete that story, maybe we didn't end up on a phone call. I spoke with Scott about you. He spoke about you so many times. And yeah, right before he passed, he had me promised to find you. And so I think he kept saying that, but definitely the last time I spoke to him, he was like, promise me that you'll talk to Joni when I'm not here anymore. And so he had a very strong feeling, not only to hold you and to love you, but like, you guys need to come together. And so, yeah, thanks God.
hmm.
He saw it. He saw it. He saw it.
So to move a bit more in that direction, you spoke about this call, and I know that for the last year since you were at, because we met for the first time at mystery school last year, which was so fun and so good. But since then, you described, I mean, obviously in the last year, there was this intense change of losing Scott because Scott was with us at the last mystery school, which is unreal to think about him not being this year. But he'll be with us. He'll be with us for sure. But I guess the next question I wanted to lead you into is, what do you think really changed throughout this last year of being able to take that like next step into physically embodying? And then how has that kind of led to, because you spoke about that you and Krista have now been connecting, but more details around like, what does that mean for you? Because you stepping in more and more is just such a beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Crisis, as Marc has said so many times, crisis is an evolutionary driver. And I have been in my own personal crises for the past 4+ months. And when I was feeling this pull into, really, it was this pull into action, Eli, this pull into, getting literally off the couch and into and watching the teachings and hearing, like feeling the pain of the world, but knowing that it's time. It's time to like get off the couch, Joni, and to step into something greater. It's time, like you now get to like rise up. That I got to rise up, and I get this opportunity to rise up and stand for humanity. And I didn't know what the hell that meant. And there's so many things that you can't plan, right? There's so much that you just can't anticipate. If Scott hadn't passed, I could probably bet my life on it that you, me, and Krista, and now Dorothea, and the work that we're doing together wouldn't be happening, because I would be doing something very different, right? I would be in my own work or whatever that was. But that gap, that void that was created, needed somebody to step in and fill it. And and so now, I don't know what's been going on the past. How long has it been? 3 weeks or 4 weeks now? And just like this beautiful synergy of unique self symphony, like playing our own unique instrument in this unique self symphony of symphonies that we're just orchestrating together. And it's continuing to evolve. And now we're hosting an event called The Calling. And the intention was, and it is still, to, help people come into these, to understand the teachings of what does it mean to go from homo armor to homo amor, and why is the time now for that, and why is the time not to just be in our own pain and in our sadness and our disillusionment, in our heartbreak, but to take action and to find out, discover, first declare that I am, like I did, I'm stepping forward and I may not know how. And what is mine to do? When we start asking those questions, we start feeling and getting the answers. And so now, yeah, we're all interweaving and putting on this incredible event with Aubrey and Mark, and this, sort of mini mystery school taster event that will just bring people into the teachings. And so, yeah, it's so glorious. And there's all these other little side projects that are happening now too, that are like lighting me on fire. This just Eros within me that is like ignited. And it's been so beautiful and so healing on my journey, Eli and Krista, because it's not about me anymore. Oh, it's about something so much bigger. It's about something so much bigger.
Maybe just to say how, like, the calling, like the reason we're sharing also the story is because all of us here are called, right? And so to be that embodiment and that inspiration for each of us to listen to that calling. So we're encouraging us to listen in that way, like leaning forward, like, what is this calling me to do? And that there's an invitation for all of us to step into this unique self symphony in your own unique way. I mean, my story, your story, each of our story is unique, but to lean forward and to listen, like, oh, maybe I want to have a conversation. Maybe I want to step in. So I just wanted to say that.
Can I add something, Krista, that just didn't come up? Here I have this background in marketing and sales, and I was really good at what I did. And there was a part of me that was just rejecting it. It's like, no, we run a spiritual center. We've got this big, that's the old me. And the way that I was able to step in with you all is through that thing that I was trying to reject and push away, that is so unconscious in my nature, marketing and messaging and helping people just get into their hearts, because sales is just being authentic and real, right? With people and solving a problem. And so when we can look at those parts of us that maybe we've shunned or we've shamed or we've put away and been told that, like, that's not what's needed, maybe it's actually what is being called for in a new way, right? In a new way. And I couldn't have made this up. It's like this was just the perfect direction to bring, those parts of me that I don't have to like recreate. They're already there. They're so unconscious within me into our new story of value, right? And like sharing these teachings with the world. Just wanted to share that piece that felt like it wanted to be shared.
Mm. Yeah, so for everyone to know, Joni was the originator of the seed idea to do a event called The Call-In, where we kind of create like a mini online mystery school, a completely free event, getting Mark to do a teach-in with Aubrey. We're hopefully going to have some embodiment pieces with Dr. Christina Kincaid. We'll do chanting with Krista. We will hopefully have some workshop sessions. So it'll be like a whole 4 to 6 hour long Sunday where everyone who's on one mountain is invited to come to a larger, amazing event. And that can also be a place for people to get to feel more into the community here and understand more of how real this is in all of our lives. And the most impactful way to make this real is to literally see these people face to face and to give everyone hugs and to sit with Mark 5 feet in front of you and hear Marc teach, because being in person in that energy, being online in that energy shifts who you are and shifts your depth. As Joni was speaking about that changing her relationship with Scott throughout their whole relationship. But then being there in person, it's like undescribable how amazing it is being in this energy with people. So for just one last question to you, Joni, I know that last year you and Scott made an enormous effort to come to Eros Mystery School last year. This year we are doing an upgraded next level version of Eros Mystery School called the Cross-In. And yeah, I just wanted you to speak a little bit into how being at that event was for you and how the process of getting there was. And yeah, just giving a bit of your knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, I'd love to. First, I want to say I was not the mastermind behind the calling. It was actually Krista. I just stepped in to support. She's the mastermind behind it, and so yeah, we're co-creating it together. I just wanted to share that because she's her beautiful mind and your beautiful mind. We get to create our own. Yeah, just step into our unique self and create this beautiful symphony together. So mystery school last year, here's what happened. Scott had caught the online version of Catch Mystery School. Scott had watched the online version of the previous year's mystery school, and he kept telling me, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. These teachings, and Marc, and oh my God, there's no way we're not going to be there next year. We're absolutely going to be at mystery school live and in person. I'm going to be in that room. It's not the same as buying it or watching it online. It's just not the same online. And I know that. And I said, okay, great. And he said, he bought tickets right away. And then, of course, life was lifing, and his cancer was getting worse and worse, and things were getting harder in our life. And we had every intention to being at mystery school. Money was not plentiful. We had every reason in the world to not be there. We truly did. Chemo stopped working for him. That we were on sort of a, as the doctors would say, like, downward path. And it was a matter of time. And we were 72 hours from the event starting, or from us having to leave. We were 72 hours from leaving Montana. And it's like the 3 weeks before, thinking we're not going to be able to go. There's no way. There's no way. He has no energy, no strength. How are we going to do it? I said, Joni, shift your thinking. Stop thinking that you can't go. Stop thinking that your limitations are the thing that's in the way. Everyone knows that our thoughts create our reality, or maybe not everyone knows that, but our thoughts create our reality. And yes, there's so much of the mystery that we don't know and we can't figure out, and why Scott's not here with us today, right? But I knew in that moment, I was like, okay, change the energy. And so those next few, down to the 72 hours, that's what it took. And all of a sudden there was a shift in him, and this energy came on. And from where, there's only one place, right? There's only one place, because he knew that there was no way that he was not going to be, that we were not going to be at mystery school in Holland. And we got there, and it was tough. It was hard, but we did it. Yeah, we did it. And it was the greatest gift that we could have given ourselves individually and each other. There's before mystery school, there's a line in the sand, and there's after mystery school. And who you become after experiencing mystery school, well, that's unique to you. And it was unique to me and Scott. And I know that my life has completely evolved. My life has completely changed post mystery school. And there is something so unique that you get. There's something that you cannot describe, Eli, about being in the room live. I mean, there's like 100, how many tickets? 100 spots to be in a room with such a master. And I do say that with such just reverence to be in that room with Dr. Marc Gafni and this incredible team supporting us and helping us to co-author a new story of value, literally rewriting and writing a new source code for humanity at a time where we're in such deep crisis. What other place in the world would you rather be? I mean, truly, what other place? There's no other place in the world that I would rather be. And right now, everything in my life says don't go to mystery school. Like if you were to look at, I spent 3 months and over 3.5 months in silence. I'm not really interacting with the outside world. I'm just starting to go to the grocery store after my husband passed away. I'm like a little toddler feeling, even on our calls, you guys feel it. I'm like, I'm spent after an hour of a conversation. And yet I'm going to find a way to get on a plane and be there. There's no other choice. Humanity is calling me, and humanity is calling every one of you right now.
Yeah. It's s- it's so hard to describe how meaningful the mystery school is because there's literally nothing else like it. And and that's been it's been my job to try to put it into words and put it into emails and like blast it out to people. And I was just like, how do you speak the ineffable value of like being with these people in person and experiencing the shift in your body towards legitimate hope for the direction humanity is moving, and a hope that is grounded in like the deepest, most rigorous philosophy that I have come into contact with. I know pretty much everyone I speak to who has actually been in the Dharma here, people who have studied philosophy. I've studied philosophy for a decade, and there's nothing like this. So, yeah, for everyone else who's on this call, I think there's about 26 seats left in the room, and which is so cool that all of you at One Mountain Many Paths, like you're the people who we want to give this opportunity to first, because it is such a blessing to be there in person. So we want to help you in whatever way possible to be there in person and get to experience what it's like to be with this whole group. There's a link in the chat box, and you can just add your email there, and our team will reach out to you and work with you about how to get there. So please go do that if you're feeling that call at all. It's just so good and so worth it. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the tip of my heart, but there's nothing coming up right now.
Can I just
Yeah,
share
or
something
Joni.
that's
Yeah.
present for me? And I'm observing myself in this time of all the reasons not to go, because the mind will always come up with stories and reasons and excuses as to why we can't do something, right? And sometimes it's the resources, right? Genuinely, it feels like the resources aren't there, which I'm certainly experiencing that as well. And sometimes it's the mind saying that it's the resources, if you know what I mean, right? And sometimes it's resourcefulness and genuinely needing to get resourceful. And so the resources, I believe the resources don't show up until we make a decision, until we decide, until you genuinely decide, until you decide that you are going to mystery school and that there's no way that you're going to miss it. Until that moment, it's going to feel like you can't for many people. And that decision is a really key energetic because it shifts everything. And so I just knew there's no way in hell I'm not going to be there. And even my excuses about we live on a ranch and there's a lot to care for here. We have 5 horses and we've got all these things. And yeah, all of those reasons and excuses aren't going to stop me because I already decided. Now the resources are showing up. And I feel like that maybe can help somebody because you don't have to see the money in your bank account right now necessarily. You can feel like it's not there and it may not be there, but if you want to be there, I promise you the cosmos will open and all the things will invite you in and the resources will show up and the way will be found. And it's just like, because you deserve to be there. And I truly believe that with everything. Sometimes we can be our greatest obstacle in life. And we had every reason and excuse to not go last year. I have every reason I feel like an excuse to not go right now. And yet the pull to be there is so much greater. It's so much stronger.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Such a powerful testimony and powerful, outrageous love story. And I know my heart's blown open just by your presence and your generosity, Joni, with the way that you're pouring yourself in, like you're sharing your fire, sharing your gifts, sharing your heart, showing up the fullness of your presence. Such a beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you so much. And yeah, about the resources, I also want to say, like, anyone that feels that they need to be there, let's have a conversation. I know that there's always a way. Like one little example, I was talking to Cassius the other day, who lives in all the way in Brazil. Like, how is he ever going to get to Europe? But we're finding a way. So but only if you are saying yes, like you're describing you, Joni, like, yes, I need to be there and I will be there no matter what, then let us have a conversation. Just want to say that, because as we always say, we're obviously not here in the win-lose metrics. We're trying to serve something bigger. We are serving something bigger than ourselves. And we're asking everyone to share what you need, but also pour in as much as you can so that we can rise all boats together.